Hi guys, Crochet Connect here. I'm coming to you today to talk about an upcoming kind of large project I'd like to start soon. I'll probably start it in the new year. Um, I have briefly mentioned it before. I found this old copy of Annie's newsletter at a thrift store probably a couple years ago now. No, more than a couple years ago actually. And it's taken me a while to find all the different colors of yarn I need, but I would like to start this Collie Afghan soon, and I believe I have all the colors I need now. So I'm going to go over those and just talk a little bit about this pattern again. I know I've mentioned it before in previous videos, but so I have a little bit of a backstory with this pattern actually. There was a day a few years ago when I was actually looking on eBay for patterns unrelated to this, and this somehow popped up in my search. And my best friend was a very huge collie person. She raised collies and showed collies. She was a dog show person, and collies were like her number one dog. So I showed her this because that's kind of right up her alley. I showed her the link to it. And she thought it was really cool. And then, but I didn't order it because it was with shipping to Canada. It was going to be like ridiculously expensive. So I just thought it was a cute thing to show her. And then probably about a couple of months later, I actually found this at a local thrift store, which was quite the coincidence. And especially because there is actually a subscription label on the back of this. Somebody subscribed to this back in the day. And the address is from a city about a 2-hour drive from here. So how it ended up here and at that time, like, I have no idea. And it's quite the coincidence. But anyway, so I obviously had to buy this. And my best friend was really excited that I found this. And so I was planning to crochet this Afghan for her and give it to her for either Christmas or her birthday, whichever was closest by the time I finished it, because her birthday was in July. But you may notice I have been speaking in past tense about her. She passed away a couple of years ago, very suddenly due to a blood clot after a medical procedure. So it was very unexpected. But I've still been trying to collect all the yarn to crochet this Afghan. And obviously, instead of it being a gift for her now, I've decided I might, if it turns out nice enough, I might enter it in my local fair. We have a local fair every September. And they have like a craft competition kind of area. And there is a crochet division. So I'm thinking of entering it in the fair if it turns out all right. And first, second, and third prize, they win a small monetary prize. So if I do win any monetary prize, I am considering matching it and donating it to a collie rescue in her memory. So anyways, so I'm going to probably start this in the new year. And it requires a lot of colors of yarn. And I obviously didn't want to buy that much yarn brand new because that would have been very expensive. So over the last couple of years or so, I've been scouring thrift stores and stuff, but I haven't really found much. So I finally, I went through all of my yarn and dug out the colors from my stash that I could use. And then I bought all of the rest at Michael's because I couldn't find anything at thrift stores over the last couple of years, and I just finally gave up. So I'm going to go through all the yarn I found for this. So it needs a surprising amount of colors. Okay, so first white. Obviously, I have white in my stash. I actually have this this large skein of Pound of Love. I'll probably be using this. The label ripped, but it's Pound of Love. So I'll be using that for the white parts. Which would be the bridge of the nose and the neck there. And then it calls for black, which I also have black in my stash. I have a Red Heart Super Saver in black here from my stash. And then it calls for blue for the background. Now I do have a couple of skeins of Red Heart Super Saver in blue. However, I'm not quite sure if I want to use this blue. I feel like this blue might be a little bit too dark. I might want a lighter blue. I don't know. I feel like it might be too dark behind the dog. So I might go get a couple of skeins of a lighter blue. I'm not sure, but I have those in case I can't go out and buy any blue. So that's an option. And then for brown, I did not have the right kind of brown in my stash. So I went to Michael's and I got this this brown in loops and threads. I'm not seeing a color name. Oh, Mocha. This is Mocha. They don't put their color name near the barcode like other brands do, I guess. So it's loops and threads in Mocha. It's just like a typical medium brown. And then for rust, that rust was the color that took me the longest to find. But loops and threads had this color. Where is the color name? I don't like how they do their labels. Okay, this color is ginger, and it's kind of a reddish orange. Close enough to rust. This is the closest to rust I could find in any brand of yarn. So that is what I'm using for rust. I don't know if the color is coming off completely correctly in my camera, but that's what I'm using for rust. And it also calls for orange, and the orange I had was too bright. It was like a very bright, like pumpkin orange, and that's too bright for a collie. So I went and picked up Carrot in Bernat Premium from Michael's. Red Heart also used to have a carrot, but I haven't been able to find it. And then it calls for a dark gold, light gold, and yellow. Now I have these 4. I have a Red Heart in just gold. I have this really old Woolworth Woolco knitting yarn. I don't think it has a color name. Oh, it says mustard, but it's like a darker gold. It's more gold than mustard, in my opinion. Then I also have Vanna's Choice in mustard. It's a little bit lighter than this mustard. And then I have this Bernat, I think it was a Bernat Premium in like a butter yellow. So I'm not sure if I am going to, because this Vanna's is lighter than this mustard, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this as the dark gold, light gold, and this as the yellow, or if I want to use this for the dark gold, this for the light gold, and this for the yellow. So I don't know. So here is option 1. I hope the colors are coming across clear enough. And here is option 2. And so again, here is the Collie. Actually, is that a better, I don't know which one is a better view. But anyway, so if anybody wants to give their opinion on which is better, which they think would be the better color combination, option 1 or option 2, I would appreciate it. So I haven't completely decided yet, but I have the options. And then I need light pink and dark pink for the tongue area. And I have this random skein of dark pink that my mother-in-law found me at a thrift store. And I have this skein of light pink. This is an old 1 pound skein of Zeller's yarn. Zeller's was a department store in Canada, very similar to Walmart. But it was Canadian, whereas Walmart is American. And it closed down back in like 2013. We don't have it anymore. And this was found at a thrift store. So there's that. So that's my light pink and dark pink for the tongue area. And then it calls for burgundy. And I happen to have a skein of burgundy in Bernat Super Saver. So I will be using that. And then it calls for light gray, medium gray, and dark gray. So I happen to have I guess this will be the medium gray. I found these at a thrift store maybe about a year ago. It was $7 for 3 skeins of Craft Smart in gray. It's just like a medium gray. I haven't opened it yet, but in the medium gray. And then I have this darker gray. This I got from Michael's. It's the Loops and Threads in charcoal, of course. And then this lighter gray is Loops and Threads in light gray. So there is that. And there's the 3 grays together. I promise you the gray in the bag is darker than this light gray. It's not quite looking, my lighting is terrible, so it's not quite looking that different, but it is very different, I guarantee. And then it calls for off-white and beige. So I have this random skein. I have no idea what it was. I think it was probably a Bernat. It looks like didn't they have a colorway called Snow? It looks like it might be that. It's not as bright as the white yarn. So that's definitely off-white. So I'm going to use that. And then it calls for beige. And I found this partially used skein in my stash it's a Red Heart Super Saver in buff. So that'll do all right for beige, I think. So yeah, so that is what I'm going to be using for this Afghan. And there is the chart for it there. And it's going to be very difficult to follow because a lot of these colors look very similar. It's hard to distinguish between the colors with these teeny tiny squares. So I think what I'm going to do before I start crocheting is I'm going to sit down and just go row by row and write out all the colors needed for each row and how many stitches of each color, because if I just try to look at each row in the chart as I'm crocheting, I'm going to get very confused and very lost. I know it. So I think I'm going to write it out in words. So that's going to take me a while. So I might start doing that sometime this month and then start the crocheting in January. So we'll see how that goes. There are 170 rows in this Afghan, in case you were wondering. So just a little fact about the pattern there. So yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say about the pattern. I don't know what else there is to say about it. So that's all the yarn. I'm going to start as soon as possible, and hopefully I will have an update on it maybe sometime in January, maybe mid-January, mid to late January. Hopefully I will have a few rows done to show. And the deadline, if I do want to enter it in the fair, the deadline to get it to the fair is usually sometime in mid-August. So hopefully, you know how I slack, but hopefully I can get it done for this year's fair. I'm going to try to use these videos to keep myself accountable, but you know how that doesn't always work with me. But anyways, so I'm going to try to get this done and get a few rows done to show within the next month. So yeah, so I think that's all I have to say. I hope everybody has been having a good start to December. We are having a very snowy start to December where I live. It's been some crazy weather and I love it. This is my favorite time of year. I love this weather. So yeah, so I hope everybody's been doing okay and happy crafting.